This is where the fun begins.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the Expanded Universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The Expanded Universe respects the reader. In the Expanded Universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy, just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi, or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the Expanded Universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the Expanded Universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story in continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the Expanded Universe.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Are you sure? So be it.
I had fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Good morning, everyone. and welcome to Thursday morning CAF chat. I'm so excited to be here with you. And did you get your CAF ready or any type of beverage? Yeah, it's that time of day. Well, for me, it's morning, and those tuning in, I know I have a wide range of audience here coming from the West Coast and all out to the United States, Canada, and different parts of the world. So wherever you're at, hopefully you have a beverage that you're enjoying and you have a nice, comfortable place to sit, maybe with some of your new Jedi Order books, or maybe you have the source book and you are ready to chat Star Wars lore. So good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Alora. This is OG Star Wars channel. Of course, as you know, you're here. Those tuning in on X or Twitter X, or those new to the channel, welcome and thank you. And I'm so happy that you guys are here. So today's going to be a great one, of course. We are still continuing on with the new Jedi Order lore or era. Not necessarily following the books, but breaking down some of the timeline, talking about different factions and what's going on during that time frame. And today, we're going to talk about the state of the New Republic. So those who are rereading with me and are reading, if this is your first time reading through the series, and you are going to notice, or if you haven't noticed, I know Scran has, how the New Republic is handling this invasion, right? And it's not too pretty. Not too pretty at all. So with that being said, if you are here listening, please hit that like button. Become a channel member. I'm planning something fun for us this coming February, if you're a channel member. Gifted memberships are fine. I don't stress it a lot like some of my comrades do. But if you do that, thank you so much. That brings the channel up to another new level, I guess you could say. And those who are new to the channel, thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't hit that subscribe button. Yeah, and then those who are catching the replay, thank you so much for your dedication in coming and wanting to know what our conversations are about and being a part of it, even though it's not live. You can always leave a comment below and let me know your insights on the New Republic, especially if you read the series. If you're reading it for the first time and you have noticed, let me know what you think about this this direction. Because this is a crazy fucking ride. Yes, good morning, I cussed, right? This is a crazy fucking ride, New Jedi Order, and those people who didn't like it when it first came out because it was too dark. There's a reason why it's too dark. Lucasfilm in themselves didn't want the repeated story that was happening before then. So they needed something in a new direction, but for it to still be Star Wars. And boy, did they take this in a whole different direction. Holy crap. Like I said before, no one's safe. And that's the whole point of the series and of the new direction, is that they needed to, give the readers a realistic approach. Instead of every time heroes and their friends are safe and it's an ending and it begins again and it's another happy ending, it has to have some kind of depth in it. And it sure has been a great reread for me. So I could just sit here and just talk like I am with you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and start saying hello to you guys in the chat. But before I do that, we do have our standard little segments here. We have the Lucas Facts coming up, and it's a fun one about Yoda. Then we have Book of the Week, and I think a lot of you guys will like this choice. And so I'm excited to share it with you. I'm not going to give any spoilers just yet. And cringe factor, we'll see how that goes. Ezra, the new Luke. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see what you guys say about that when we get there. And of course, Star Wars news. Holy shit. So I'm going to brush up on Disney Star Wars news, because Star Wars news, when I talk about it, it's all about Disney, right? It's not necessarily about pre-Disney stuff. Unless there's something that happens that is breaking, quote unquote, breaking news, which I would be like, going live right away if I hear about it. Anything pertaining to George Lucas era of Star Wars, like, ooh, they're continuing the EU, that kind of thing. But anyways, so, I part of my platform is part of Twitter, and I leave Facebook out of there. I leave my Instagram out of my OG Star Wars platform. So Twitter is my platform for this. So this is where I discuss a lot of Star Wars, and also countering misinformation. And just recently, and I'll say hi to you guys. Hold on. Just recently, like within the last few days or within a week, I guess you could say that's safe to say. There was a study coming on about the numbers of a viewership for the Acolytes. And this, when you look into it and you read the article and then you go into the research and what was pulled up with the numbers and stuff like that, they're talking about Disney Star Wars being a failing platform, I guess you can say, in viewership, like in subscriptions and stuff. Like other hubs have a lot more viewership. And so when people are like, oh my God, the Acolyte is number 2 on Disney Plus. Why don't they redo it? It's one of the best. It's the best out there, blah, blah, blah. No, sweetheart. They were actually saying that Disney Star Wars is the worst. Well, not just Disney, but Disney Plus and their platform is the worst. And so they're basically what I like to call, and not all families are like this, that raise their kids like this, because I certainly didn't. The participation trophy generation, where they are given awards no matter what, even if they came in last place. So that's what they're celebrating. They're celebrating, thinking it's great, because that came basically last in viewerships. There's 10 billion, 12 billion viewers for other things that they compare, like other shows and stuff like that. In here, Acolyte got 2.7 or something like that. So anyways, I thought that was funny. I think it's still funny because they are shilling so hard thinking that it was a success and stuff, and it sure and how was not. A lot of people dropped from it, and it's not successful. But anyways, that I thought was funny. And then Henry Cavill, whatever, is rumored to be in talk to act for Lucasfilm in an upcoming show or whatever. Take that as it is. It's nothing official about that. So we'll see what happens. All these things, all these rumors, what ifs or whatever are full of shit until it's officially announced. Just take it with like whatever. But even if it's official, it's still bad for him to go in. But hey, let's just watch it burn. It's a dumpster fire anyways. It's a well-lit dumpster fire. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, so let's see who's here with us. Mr. Sinister. Let's fucking go. Yes. And then Silver Org is here. How are you doing? Thumbs up with a couple thumbs up with a couple of coffee. Cheers to you. And then Odie is here. Evening, folks. Question for Allura. Okay, so this is so funny. I'm not teasing you per se. It's just my whole life, my name has been spelled so many different ways because it's very unique. It's like Laura, but with an A, Allura. And so how people spell it is very unique sometimes. And I don't think I've seen people spell my name like you did very often. So with that being said, it's Alorha. But I like how this looks, Allura. So Laura, and so that's just my thing. You know, my name has been spelled El Hora, which is quite funny. It's like, I'm like, what the fuck is this? El Hora. Anyways, and then Alorna, because you know, my H in my name. And sometimes when it's written out, sometimes the H can look like an N for whatever reason. I don't know. Alorca. I don't know where the H looks like a K at times, or people had spelled my name Alorca. Yeah, so my name has been butchered, and I just take it all in stride and light. It's funny, you know. It is what it is. But that spelling right there, pretty cool. What are your thoughts on the Old Republic and is it worth playing? I would say it's well worth playing. I love the Old Republic. I know it through the books and stuff, not through the game. So that's my weakness there. So give it a try. And I'm pretty sure all the Old Republic people here will let you know and will give you some guidance and cheer you on for playing that game. And Soul Assassin's here. And again, because of that fucking conversation, he's not going to let me outlive this bullshit. And I'm laughing. I'm not triggered. It's all fun and games, right? You got to laugh at the silly fucking stuff, right? Today's stream is going to be so wizard. If anything, that word was never really used by fans until now, just to mock me. And that's funny. Yep, there we go already. So you're in good hands, very good hands. And let's see here. And Obsidian Knife. Woo! Hello, OG. Hello to you. Good morning from where I am at. And Gordon is here. Good morning, Gordon. How are you? And yes, let me go ahead and check out my merch. I am actually about done with my Camino B Roya. That's Mandalorian. So Camino B Roya. So that is Camino Bounty Hunter. And it's my Boba Fett painting. And I just forgot to put some little bit of details on his gauntlets and not gauntlets. Jeez, what the fuck? Gauntlets, so I have to do the little details on that, because then if not, then if you are a Boba Fett fan or Mandalorian fan and you're like, wait a minute, it's supposed to have this, this, and this. Yeah, I want to make sure that I get everything correct in a sense with taking a few liberties as an artist, so it's not exactly the same. So that piece is about done. I still haven't decided if I'm going to put a little bit of stars on some areas of there around him and Camino. And I just got to let it dry. So once it's done fully and it's fully dry, I'll take the tape off of it. And then I will go get it professionally scanned so I can make copies. I'm very excited about that. And sad to say, and I have to go take a look. I didn't look this morning, but no one bought any fucking tickets for the convention. I think everybody has other plans during that time or just can't go. I don't know, but I will check my email one more time to make sure that, I'm not missing anybody for buying a ticket. And that offer was to purchase tickets. If you purchase a ticket for Legends Con 2 or Legends Con, you would be entered to win a copy of one of my images from my Star Wars Origin collection. And I'm still building it. I have Asajj Ventress as Mistress of Rat Attack. That's the name of the painting. I have Quinlan Voss as Son of Kifu. And now Boba Fett, the Camino Baroya, are the Camino Bounty Hunter. So those are the choices. However, if you choose the Boba Fett one, you're going to have to wait. But like I said, no one took up on the offer. And I'll check before we're done here to make sure I'm not missing. I didn't check the spam folder, which is a big mistake. So yeah, I need to go check that out. Uplanded Day are Yeah, Uplanded Day Off. I got to watch Cat Chat. Oh, cool. I'm glad you are here. And then Conrado, all the way from the Philippines. Hello, my fellow brother. Brother, I guess you could say. Yeah. Yeah, because I am Ilocano. My grandfather is from Yaco Sur, way up there in the northern part of the Philippines. So a little bit of history if you guys, some of you guys didn't know. I'm Native American. I have a little bit of French and Spanish blood, and I'm also Filipina. So there you go. Ilocano. No, there's a lot. Like when people, know Filipinos, there's a lot more Tagalog than anything else. So speakers and stuff, but Ilocano here. Why did they not respect the pillar of the Star Wars? I don't know. And then Jim the Despot is here. Greetings, Alora and chat. I'm here, but I have outdoor work to do, so I won't be participating as much as I'd like to. That's fine. Just listen away. And then if you want to respond, just pause, take a break, respond, and then go about your business again. That's fine. That's awesome. I'm glad that I'm here to entertain you as you do your chores outside. All right. And then Matt Wilkins, there you go. And let's see here. Woo-hoo-hoo. I know I'm just yapping away and going really slow. Filoni so wooed. Bounce. Bounce. And then it says screen shill. Ooh, we're not shilling for Disney. And let's see here. I am too cold and lazy to get up and get coffee. Well, stay nice and warm, my friend. At least you're nice and cozy and listening to CAF Chat. And then let's see here. If I'm missing anybody, I'm just going to, okay. Mike is here. How are you doing? ACR was great last night. Yeah, it was really, really entertaining and stuff. I finally had a chance to sit down and be in the chat for that. I haven't been able to participate in any way, shape, or form the last couple of weeks or so. Last few shows, I guess you could say. So I was happy to be there. But Skeleton Crew was good, just like Goonies. Fun, fun, fun. 7 out of 10, baby Dumbo. There you go. Those are all the key buzzwords there. The key buzz. The buzz keys. I don't know. I'm making shit up, you guys, with what I'm saying. Key buzz keys, buzzwords. There you go. Leave it to Disney to ruin legacy of Max Rebo. I know, right? And let's see here. I wish Disney finally sell Star Wars just like how they sold Power Rangers to, say, Sabin. Yeah, but I think that it's too much of a cash grab. They're going to milk it dry. And that's how I see that. Is OG an Imperial or Republic information officer? Wow, I never really... we always say, oh, we're either Sith or we're Jedi, but hardly talk about like being an Imperial or Republic. Interesting. You guys decide. Let's see. You decide. Sometimes a woman keeps her secrets. I thought OG was a scoundrel smuggler. And there you go. Scoundrel smuggler. There you go. And Henry Cavill a few years ago would be a good ex-Arcoon. Well, let's see here. We're coming up on 9:30. So let's go ahead and get into our Lucas facts here. So let me go ahead and find the clip here.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
I could stay yapping with you guys just in the chat all day. It's so much fun. But we do have segments that we have to push through, and I will continue back in the chat here pretty soon. So if I miss saying hello to you, hello. I'm not doing it on purpose. So here is your Lucas fact. George Lucas, and this comes from Star Wars, the annotated screenplays. I wanted Yoda to be a traditional kind of character you find in fairy tales and mythology. And that character is usually a frog or wizened old man on the side of the road. The hero is going down the road and meets this poor and insignificant person. The goal or the lesson is for the hero to learn to respect everybody and pay attention to the poorest person because that's where the because that's where the key to his success will be. And you guys, I'm kind of like hearing his voice in my head as I read this. I don't know if you guys do that either, but I hear his voice as I read this. I wanted Yoda to be perceived at first as a funny critter, not as the most powerful of all the Jedi. I wanted him to be the exact opposite of what you might expect, since the Jedi is based upon philosophical idea rather than the physical idea. So this is a little bit about, or this is not a little, this is about Yoda and him creating this creature to be Luke's next teacher, but a huge lesson too of morality and not judging people by their looks and how they act. Now OG shows how I feel when people mispronounce my last name. Oh, my last name is crazy too. And let's see here. Hi, Melissa Lord. How are you doing? Good morning to you. I see you. I see you. So with this being said here, this is Yoda and how George wanted to create him in the beginning as a lesson for Luke of, a character lesson for Luke, I guess you could say. A character lesson for Luke on not judging people by their appearance and how they act, right? And I think, and I had a nice conversation with Soul Assassin about this, but I think Disney perceives this whole in a whole different way. They get it wrong. They think that that this is just a comedy act, and so they apply this to like even all the other type of mentors that come into the hero's life. And then they also take and use this characteristic with Yoda as if it's a trait he's always had. And that's not the case. And this was just a lesson for Luke. And it's based upon the mythologies. And, we see it in fairy tales and stuff, but it's based upon the mythologies, throughout the world, basically. Hero stumbles upon their future mentor and is given a test, a morality test, on judgment of character and respect versus disrespect, all of that. And so I thought this was very interesting to put as Lucas Facts. I pulled up my Anatota screenplays and I was like, you know what? I was going to try to keep it something similar and close to New Jedi Order, but I'm like, no, because just because we're talking about it doesn't mean that every segment needs to be about the New Jedi Order, because then it gives you a wide view of the overall lore. Like this, we're talking about the foundation of Star Wars here, the movies, right? And that sets the precedence of the lore going forward that all creators, even George himself, abides by. So when you have Yoda and you see all these other mentors that come, and even Luke is a mentor to a lot of the Jedi, but of course he didn't present himself in any way, shape, or form like this because there's no need to. But there was different tests for heroes, no matter which stages or who they encounter and stuff. And this is one of Luke's tests. Another test is him leaving Dagobah to go save his friends because of the vision of the future and what that leads to. So there's so many different tests, especially in this hero's journey, that are significant to his character going forward into the New Jedi Order era, right? And he's still learning. He's still putting things together because the Empire destroyed a lot of the Jedi archives. A lot of information was destroyed or changed. And so piecing things together too was kind of a trial for him and Tion, who is his record keeper, I guess you could say, and one of his teachers for the Praxiums. And she's a historian, basically. That's her whole character arc is a historian. She's not as powerful as a lot of Jedi in the Force, I guess you could say. Her strength in the Force is not, you know, like other Jedi. Like, and you could say that for Corran Horn too. But her purpose is there as a historian and a teacher. And she's also a musician. So I'm not trying to get into her character aspect. I'm just giving some, you know, examples of that, of, you know, different type of Jedis and how they come in per their own hero's journey, I guess you could say. And how, you know, Luke became the mentor to a lot, but of course he's not going to be making himself as a frog or a wizened old man on the side of the road, right? So this very interesting aspect here of, and we know this for a fact, of George using mythology to build the structure for these characters. So there you go. So here you go. This is the Lucas facts. I'm going to scroll all the way down. So if I'm missing some of your guys' conversations, sorry about that. To be fair, Mighty Morphin remains the most iconic to this day. Okay, so I don't, I'm going into something, a reply that I probably don't, or a conversation that I'm not privy of right here. Let's see here. Some prequel haters, and hello, Backseater, how you doing? Some prequel, for some reason, a lot of prequel haters think Yoda using a lightsaber goes against his character. I have no idea why. They think that because he's one of the most, or the most powerful Jedi, that he really doesn't need it, and that's not the fact. If you're going to engage in some kind of, you know, fight, like protecting and stuff like that, the Force is not going to always be the solution, I guess you could say. And teachers, because a teacher is so experienced in something or strong in something, doesn't mean they give up other abilities and lessons because of that. And he also trains younglings in lightsaber form and stuff like that. So you have all those aspects, but you just don't give up one ability because you got stronger or you're stronger in the other, right? I feel so better knowing I do. And I did this last night. So if you found a typo, that's just me. I make typos. That's just me. Let me see here. When Disney doesn't care about an IP, the franchise like Power Rangers had another golden age. Let's see here. And at least Yoda was a physically deceptive as a lesson. He ultimately really was who he said he was. Right. And let's see here. At least Sidious had a reason he didn't use a saber. So Sidious, yeah, he as you get to Sidious or Palpatine generation, I guess you could say, of the rule of two, they look at using the saber as mocking the Jedi, even though, and here's the history of the saber as we see it today in the lore, the Sith came up with that. So that's very interesting. The lightsaber existed with the Jedi before their split, and the Dark Jedi left and started forming the Sith and stuff like that. That whole history, the schism, I guess you could say. And then after that, during that time, the Sith basically invented the power pack and how you see the sabers now. So it's kind of interesting to see Palpatine like, we only use the sabers to mock the Jedi, but he was very, very skilled in his ability to duel and stuff like that. That's very apparent and in his lore history, I guess you could say. So it's very interesting with that. All right, let's see here. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the book of the week, and then we'll start talking about the New Republic, the state of the New Republic in the New Jedi Order. So here's your chance now. If you have the source book, if you haven't grabbed it, grab it. If you want to grab, I don't know how grabbing like the first 4 books in the series would benefit you. But if you're like me and annotate, and I stopped writing in the books. I now use notepads, sticky notes, and put them in there. So if you're like me and, bookmark the pages with notes and stuff like that, and you've been keeping track of the New Republic and their mishandling of the invasion, then you'll be prepared. If not, don't worry about pulling out the books unless you know exactly what pages to go to. That's in short. So let's go ahead and get into, let me go ahead and take this off the screen. Get into the book of the week.
I hate to say it, but it looks like
Story.
the you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
All right. So here we go. Here is the CAF Chat book of the week. It's actually the short story. And it's by Matthew Stover. Happy birthday again. His birthday was yesterday. So, and, of course, he has a few great books under his belt for Star Wars, and then a couple of short stories. And this is one of them. So I was debating, people gave some information or, gave ideas like the magic of myth and some other. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do a short story here and celebrate Matthew Stover's birthday with this. So happy birthday again, Matthew Stover. The illustrator, Brian Rod, published December of 2011. And the timeline this falls in is 67 BBY. And continuity notes, not much to really type about. And I don't want to give the story away either too much if you have not read this. But you can find the short story was published in the Star Wars Insider 130. The story deals with Tenebrous' effort to cheat death. The story fits between Darth Bane, Dynasty of Evil, and Darth Plagueis. So here's a little bit continuity notes. Great story about Tenebrous and continuing how these Sith are trying to become immortal, I guess you can say, and what happens with that. So I highly recommend. You can listen to this on YouTube. So it is available on YouTube. So if you don't have Insider 130, there's a expanded universe website, and I don't think it's the one that Matt Wilkins heads up, but there's a website that has all the stories, short stories, like all the published stories or short stories and stuff like that. Even the ones that were finished but vetoed by Lucasfilm at the time, all on that website. So you can pull up that website. And I can't think of the fucking name. It's not the expandeduniverse.com. I don't think it's on that one. So, yeah, but you could find it out there. You can listen to it on YouTube, which it's a very good, good audio book, I guess you could say, version. So there you go. Tenebrous Way. So with you guys here, and most of you guys are privy to Star Wars, the EU, in some way, shape, or form. How many of you read this story? Or do you guys have it? I don't have Insider 130, so I don't have the digital or the hard copy. So if anybody wants to give that to me, a digital copy, I would love to have. I have 129. But I don't have 130. I have like a mixture of them. I was gifted, or I was brought to attention at one point that there was a website that had all the digital copies on there, and it's since then is now gone, and I didn't download all of them like I wanted to. So There you go. So if anybody has Insider 130 digital copy, I would love to have that. Okay. Let me see what you guys are saying. Many women these days are 304s, but only Jocasta is a 404. Oh my gosh, you guys are so crazy. Thank you so much. One of the best Star Wars stories I've ever read. Yeah, and it's a short story. And I think with Matthew Stover, he has more great stories than stories that are mediocre and stuff like that. You know, you have Shatterpoint. That's a mixed bag with fans. So there's Shatterpoint. There is Shadows of Mindor, which is another mixed bag. I enjoyed it for what it was. Some people didn't like it. Some people are comparing it, Luke's attitude a little bit to the new, the Last Jedi, the Disney trilogy's Last Jedi. But I, in defense of that, I enjoyed it. It was fun, but it's not my, like, in my top, like 20, 30 or whatever. Or no, in my top 20 maybe. I enjoyed it for what it was, with Luke, you know, dealing with his popularity and what's expected of him in such an early, like, phase of him being and a public hero, I guess you could say. So it was quite interesting. And then, of course, you have Revenge of the Sith. And then you have Traitor, New Jedi Order Traitor. So again, and then of course you have Equipment, which is in the back of the Shatterpoint short story, in the back of the Shatterpoint novel. And then you have this story here. So, you know, he really hit home run most of the time with these stories. And I will, and I stick to that. That's how I see that. Now, he's probably one of my top authors that I go to when we talk about, and I get questioned, him and Troy Denning, Matthew Stover, or not Matthew Stover, we're just talking about him, Michael Stackpole. Let's see here. Tenebrous is a good name since Tenebrae means shadow. Correct. There's a lot of great naming here with some of these characters for the Sith. All right. With that being said, let's get into our lore talk. It took us a while to get here, but that's okay. You know, you never know what to expect with CAF chat, and I am in the wrong area to bring up. There we go. So you guys know me, as if I can, I will geek out, nerd out, whatever, and, you know, make a PowerPoint visual for you guys. So New Jedi Order and the New Republic. What are your thoughts about the New Republic regarding the invasion? I know there's many of you guys that have read this. Some of you guys are now thinking back because it's been a while since you read it. And some of you guys are like me and purists and Scran and Darth Paz, rereading or reading as a first-time reader. Scran is reading as a first-time reader, and I've been enjoying hearing his bits about it, talking about it as someone brand new to the series. It's kind of refreshing to hear, you know, someone brand new to the series talk, because then it sparks your interest even more, and just to see their delight and even frustration with some characters or some faction or what's going on in the story. That, you know, so it's very refreshing to have a new looking at it through someone's eyes, if they're new to that, I guess you could say. Probably screwed that up. And then those who haven't read it in a long time, you're just now remembering. And then we have Soul Assassin, who is not privy to much of the post Return of the Jedi lore. So he's more of the Old Republic side of the timeline. And so just watching him learn and experience all this history pertaining to the New Jedi Order has been really fun as well. It's been exciting times, and this bit of talking and rereading and sharing the lore during the New Jedi Order era has gained momentum on our platforms. And you see even those you consider Disney shills now banking and grifting off of our excitement of the New Jedi Order and talking about and rereading it and all that. So very fun, very interesting to see people jump on board, because it's going to give them attention too. But no matter what, I'm happy that even some of the shills are jumping on board because it's proven fact that this, pre-Disney lore is much better than what Disney can ever give. So let me see what you're saying. So what do you guys think about the New Jedi Order stance? Not the New Jedi, the New Republic. Their stance with what's going on in the galaxy, this invasion and all this stuff. Let's see here. I'm scrolling. Nerd or geek, just don't spurg out. Interesting era. Lots of crazy creativity and writers did for that area. Yes, Soul Assassin. Zonama Sikat. Yes, we'll get into that later. Very important, right? Scran's in the book like, oh yeah, his eyes. Oh God, just when he's seeing how Leia was being treated. Holy shit! And I'll move through this. I will go through the PowerPoint here. We'll talk a little bit more in depth on this, but just to hear him report on how the officials of the New Republic, the counselors, I guess you could say, were treating her, calling her xenophobic, basically saying she's racist, that her interest when she was the official and they formed the New Republic was only for the humans, and and going on through that. And I was like, holy shit, that's far from the truth, because if she would be basically an imperial and conforming to the imperial racist tactics under Palpatine or Sidious, if she was racist, she wouldn't have been fighting for the freedom of other planets and other species under. And if you know her story, and this goes back into The Force Unleashed, I believe, that time frame, she witnessed imperial, and especially the Emperor, how they treated other species. She witnessed xenophobia, I guess you could say. And she did not like it. So there's that little bit of history going back in time for her on her stance, which solidified her into the Rebel Alliance even more. And all this protecting Leia from being, in the Emperor's sights and Vader's sight because of who her father is. It really didn't help, because she put herself right into the fight of freedom and the tyranny against that the Empire was doing. Let's see here. Thank the maker for essential books and people who know the lore. Correct. You are in the right place, my friend. I'm more of a prequel guy at this point, film or EU, and that's fine. Everybody has their specific time frame in the historical timeline that they favor more than others, and that's fine. And let's see here. Sub to Scran. Got to go to work in a few minutes. Just wanted to say hello and smash the like. Thank you so much, Vex, for dropping in. And there you go. Yeah. So with that being said, so I kept this up here, the Vector Prime and the Vong Advance. So this stays the same. I'm having to stay the same for the time being, but you can see all the lit up places where their first part of the campaign and their invasion occurred. So Vector Prime and the Vong Advance, and here's a little bit more of a zoom on those areas. And we're just like within like 4 or 5 books per se. We're not at the fall of Coruscant yet. So we're not going to specifically get into that talk. I want to do Battle of Coruscant. And yes, there's 2 major historic Battle of Coruscant, even though Coruscant has been through shit through its whole history in Star Wars. The second main one was during the Vong invasion. The first was the end of the Clone Wars. So you have those 2 major events of Coruscant. So I wanted to go ahead and make Battle of Coruscant during the Yuuzhan Vong invasion time period a separate conversation, a separate talk with you guys. As you can see, I'm breaking this big historical timeline up into bite-sized pieces so we can talk instead of just trying to talk about everything at once. Now we might go back to the Jedi soon. I really want to talk about the Imperial Remnant. I think I'm going to push that back a little more because there's more substance to it as we get further in the timeline. And, and then, we did talk about the Vong, but also too, there's other areas I want to talk about that we'll dissect a little bit more and have those conversations. So like I said, it's all in bite-sized pieces. So we have Fey'lya, and I had my notes and I left it in the damn living room when I was taking notes last night. But I guess I can wing it because, notes are there to help you keep on track, right? But doesn't mean that that's how you're going to talk about things in order, or if you're even going to stay on that type of topic, because CAF chat is about talking with you guys who are in the chat, and a lot of you guys will lend some knowledge or something else that takes us to a different perspective of what we're talking about. Okay, let's see here. There was a comic where Leia tries to save, and yeah, I'm talking about that one where she Elaine, when she went to meet Palpatine for the first time. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah, so she witnesses the xenophobia of the Empire. And that's another thing that pushes her into being a leader, I guess you could say, of the Rebel Alliance. So you see that formation. You see her character advance to where she is now. Yeah, so let me go ahead and take a sip. All right. So, like I said, bite-sized pieces for us to talk about. So we're not, so we have a specific topic to talk about here. Conrado, I don't want Garm Bel Iblis in Disney whatsoever. That's just me. I'd rather not see any other EU characters bastardized in the lore. And I question people who want that, because seeing what they did to Luke, Leia, and Han, and even Yoda, and all these movie legacy characters, and then with Thrawn, but then they're like, oh, well, let's put Mara in there, or they should put Iblis in there. No, you already seen what they do, so why are you still wanting it? The evidence is there. The proof is in the pudding. They aren't going to do the character justice, and it's not going to be the character. They might as well create a whole new character. So with that being said, Fey'lya is the chief of state. He is the leader. And one thing that I'm going to take note upon is, like, after the peace treaty was signed with Imperial Remnant during the Hand of Thrawn duology, Visions of the Future book, that's the end of the book. I guess you could say Leia was pushed out as being the president, or the or I guess you could say the leader or whatever. And a new council, new leadership faction began. And that consisted of all different species, rightfully so, because, we know that the galaxy is, diverse in life form, I guess you could say. And Leia was pushed out because she was being accused of being xenophobic, I guess you could say, like humans and stuff like that. And she backed down. She was, and there's other reasons too, and I'm not going to get into too much detail on that. Well, during this time now for the new Jedi Order, you have like Borsk Fey'lya as the the state official, the president, I guess you could say, and other leaders like from Mon Calamari. And like I said, my notes are in the friggin' living room. I'm not going to run and get it. And, from different worlds and stuff. Yeah, she was still alive, but eventually she dies off, and Mon Mothma, yeah, she dies during this time frame as well. But I think she peacefully dies though, so with her daughter at her side, her daughter who's respectful to her in the true lore rather than in the Disney lore and stuff. So they accuse Leia of being xenophobic and stuff like that, kind of pushing her away. They basically are very relaxed on this invasion. They don't really see it as a threat in a sense. And it's so fucking disturbing. It's like, and then, there's the past infighting Senate and the council members has now sparked up again. So when we watch the PT and even before the PT, all the infighting and the indecisions and stuff that we see that kind of have the Senate crumble and become victims to the Sith are happening again. There's this infighting, there's this indecisions and stuff like that. And there's a bit of this greed going on. So you see history repeating itself, and it's not good. It's not good. Not saying like the humans, got in there no matter what side they are on and maintained a sturdy government. Not saying that whatsoever, but you just see because of the fact that, now there's more freedom and opportunities for non-humans to take up leadership faction. There's a little bit of that power control going on, I guess you could say. And later on in the New Republic, during the New Jedi Order, you will see these senators, these officials, thinking only about their worlds and basically leaving the galaxy to the Vong. Yes, politics is the same no matter what universe you're in, I guess. Yeah. And it's so fucking frustrating. It's one of the most like frustrating reads, I guess you could say. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying it's bad, but to see something that like Leia helped rebuild go down because the leadership is greedy, only thinking of themselves and their own planets versus the whole, the whole New Republic under them, is another reason why they fell to the Vong. And, Wedge Antilles and Luke and all of them see this. And you know what? Let me read this, and then I'm going to pull up a short I made regarding this. And this is, and the book cover will be on there, but it's from the new Jedi Order. And it talks exactly about the state of the New Republic in short. So I'm going to read this quote here, and this is from Mace Windu. And if you've been following Scran on his channel, he's been doing a lot of deep study and work on preserving and pointing out a lot of misconception and information regarding the EU and Filoni and how Filoni's been treating it and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great things that he's been doing, and I commend him for that because I don't have time to do that right now. So, but he is excuse me. Let's see here. He is reading Shatterpoint right now, and he's going chapter by chapter. I don't know if he's doing 1 or 2, but this Shatterpoint, and like I said, these writers were so awesome with keeping continuity, history, and tying everything together for the readers, for the experience, for the historical timeline. So, follow Scran there to go over Shatterpoint book. And this quote is from Shatterpoint, and from Shatterpoint by Mace Windu. I have seen the temple in ruins, the Senate smashed, the Coruscant itself shattered by orbital bombardment from immense ships of impossible design. I have seen Coruscant, the seat of the galactic culture, become a jungle far more hostile and alien than any of Huron Call. I have seen the end of civilization, Mace Windu, 21 BBY, regarding the Battle of Coruscant during the Yuuzhan Vong invasion. And so I thought that was great to share with you guys. So let me go ahead and pull up my short from YouTube to play for you guys. I wasn't even thinking about this. I would have this already available. And oh yeah, and tonight I am going to be on Casual Rage episode 200. And that starts at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So meet me there, and it's going to be fun. I don't know what time exactly, but that I will be there. So check that out tonight. Let's see here. Let me see if this is going to let me. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now it's just finding that. So what do you think about the state of the New Republic during that time? Very interesting, right? Let's see here. Here it is. Let me see. I need to pull it up. Video on YouTube. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. All right, let me pull this up on the screen here for you guys. And just a glimpse of some of the, like viewpoints of what's going on and all that. Let me see here. Remove. Okay, Raging Rhino. Yeah, subscribe to Raging Rhino if you have not. Pretty sure most of you guys have. Nope. Stop it. Share screen. Damn it, Laura. Get your act together. Get your act together. All right. So I'm not going to say this is a spoiler. I think that this kind of video will get you excited to continue to read or start rereading again, or read as a new to the series.
Finally, Wedge said, I think that we're right at the edge of annihilation. Not just the government. Our entire culture, our history, gone without a trace. His voice hoarsened. I'm not going to let that happen. So here's what I propose. He drew his blaster and shoved it to the center of the conference table. Anyone need a blaster? I'm willing to put it out there because there's no one in this room I'd hesitate to put my life in the hands of. And that's how I propose we build this resistance. For the time being, don't bring in anyone you wouldn't trust your life to, or your children's lives. We'll set up contacts, bases, and cells the old Rebel Alliance way. While the New Republic hits the enemy where they're strong, we'll figure out how to hit them where they're weak. And if, or when, the New Republic falls, we'll be here to hit the Yuuzhan Vong both ways, mixing hard and soft styles. Finally, Wedge said,
all right. So hopefully you caught that. None of you guys said you couldn't hear it. So they're talking about tactics on how to defeat the Vong, how they need to form their own resistance. And the reason why for that is because the New Republic is failing even the military system, even the people of the New Republic, the galaxy. So they're sitting over there. Wedge is still a general. Is he a general at that time? Yeah. In the military, he's brought back out of retirement. That man never has a retirement, really. But then he's also now like, we need to form a secret resistance because we are being failed by the New Republic. So just imagine being a military leader and still, still standing up, but your leadership failing you. That's insane, right? That's insane. What do? Well, you go back to the old tactics that you used against the Empire. And you form a new type of alliance. It's the resistance, but this is the resistance when the resistance was needed and was cool, right? They didn't really have the backing of the New Republic because they didn't know they existed in a way. So this is what you call this is like the leadership that the New Republic was built upon. And then it shattered. It began to crumble because all the people who came into power under the New Republic as the leaders on the council, the main council, I guess you could say, were then not from the Rebel Alliance. That faction had, slowly just faded away, retired, or what have you. So they didn't have that type of experience of fighting the Empire like the leaders who formed the New Republic. So you see the difference and shift on how things were being handled. And that's one thing I wanted to touch upon. Is a New Republic being formed under Leia and Mon Mothma, and even at one time Bill, Garman, Bill Iblis, and all those that formed leadership and formed or had some kind of role in the Rebel Alliance. They had experience on fighting against, opposing factions, against terrorism, I guess you could say. And so when the new leadership arose, and that's even Borsk Fey'lya, which is kind of funny because he's the one character that does get redeemed in a sense in this series, and I'm not going to talk about that specifically. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Battle of Coruscant. So he has some experience, but the people that are on the council with him, the leadership council, they don't. And once this new faction was voted in and stuff like that, you had main leaders like Akbar resigning. That's fucking crazy, right? And so new leadership coming up. And so you have like when we talked about the Rogue Squadron during this time, of course, we had Gavin Darklighter as the commander. And rightfully so, he earned that place. So now he's dealing with a new faction of leaders of his, his commanders, I guess you could say. And they don't know diddly squat about fighting as, like if he was, Leia would be there as a leader. And then Batu says, leadership falling, that's a story a lot of stars. Naboo, the rebellion, Revan. That's just the ebb and flow of it. But what I'm talking about here is the leadership falling here was because of the inexperience they have. And compared to the ones that built the New Republic. And so each one of those times when leadership has fallen, there's a reason why they have fallen, right? And leaderships always either fall, a new fact comes in, and then it falls. So the New Republic formed, when, I guess you could say very shortly after the Battle of Endor. Then liberation happened of Coruscant. And so Coruscant was taken again as the capital. And so that was around about 7 or 5 or 6 ABY. And now we're in the time frame of 25 ABY. So about 20 years that Leia, Mon Mothma, and them slowly rebuilt the New Republic. Finally, at around about 18 ABY, signed a peace treaty with Imperial Remnant. And, so it took a long time for them to move away from war, I guess you could say. And they thought they were done because they had that peace treaty. And so, of course, with the freedom the New Republic brought back to other species that were oppressed by the Empire, you had leadership step up, and rightfully so. But they didn't have experience, wartime experience, I guess you could say. Maybe just one, Fey'lya. But we already know what he's about, right? If you've read through the series from like Heir to the Empire on through, you know exactly what he's about. He is the good guy that really undermines a lot. So he's the good guy villain, I guess you can say, because he was never, part of the Imperial Remnant or on the antagonist side, but he was an antagonist within the New Republic era, and so he's a very interesting character that is people love to hate. Let's see here. And what are you guys saying? All right. Nobody says anything about me being here. Grievous didn't permit me to take a break. Hello, B1. How are you doing? And yeah, Dooku went about it in a dead wrong way. Yeah, so this is what this is what they're dealing with. This is the timeline we're in now, where the New Republic begins to crumble because of its leadership's tactics, I guess you could say, because they were very relaxed or laxed on this invasion. They didn't heed the warnings that Leia took to them and the Jedi took to them. And they also basically was a part of the anti-Jedi sentiment. Yeah. The very people that you probably want to align for your cause to help protect your citizens, they kind of abandoned them, talked against them, alienated them. Kind of like a hearken to what the Sith were doing when Palpatine took control. There's a little bit of familiarity there, but it's not the same. But there's chaos going on. And the government's failing their people, So it's very, very interesting. So do you guys have any insight, or do you guys want to add to what we're talking about? Feel free to do so. Let me see here. And I can't wait to get to some more of the Alston books in Alston books in the New Jedi Order, because they are so fascinating. They're so fun to read. And then you get your Wedge Antilles in them and stuff like that. So yeah. But right now I'm pushing through, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but just I've been so friggin' busy that I've been only reading like a few pages when I can. of Jedi eclipse. Let me see here. See, if the Separatists won, this wouldn't have happened. You think? I think it would have happened no matter which side won. In fact, it didn't matter which side won because Palpatine was in control of both sides. Palpatine was in control of both sides. He was the one who made both factions of the war during the time. So it didn't really matter. It did not really matter. And George Lucas is here. Hello, fellow Clunka. All right. Yeah. So let's see here. Next here. Let's get into the invasion part here of what's going on. So you have Fey'lya, you have the New Republic emblem here that I share on here. And let me go ahead and open up the book here. Because I can see it, but I don't have my glasses on and they're not near me either because everything I need is further away than I planned. So this is during the Jedi eclipse. Like I said, I'm on that book, but we're not necessarily on the book, but I'm just using it as a landing point. So let's go through this. So all the planets at this point, and like I said, the New Republic government is being very relaxed on this invasion. And then they have a meeting to where they talk about protecting their own planets, I guess you could say. It's so fucking weird. It's not weird. It's crazy. I mean, weird in a crazy way, in a bad way. So, of course, you had the Belkaden, you have Helska that went down, Serpendal, Dubrillion, Bastion, Monolith, Dantooine, Garki, Agamar, Dathomir, Bimil. So these are like in the earlier years, or the earlier parts of the invasion. Ord Mantell, Anubis, Ithor, which was the very tragic one, which kind of sent like sparked the anti-Jedi sentiment. Merkur, and Merkur is going to play a big role in this timeline here pretty soon. There's going to be a lot of tragedy that's going to happen because of what's going on Merkur and their Voinskers. Boroskai. Then you have Kashyyyk, Tholatin, Bimasari, Fondor, which is further away. And it's so sad, like Alderaan is there, but it's like just a circle in memory. And Tyna. So during this time frame, during the Jedi eclipse in the Agents of Chaos, these are the planets that have fallen to the Vong in one way, shape, or form. And yeah, there's still officials in the military that are trying to plan on countering this invasion, on where they're going to strike next. And you could say that Corellia is the bait. And, you know, I'm moving through the Jedi eclipse, and Corellia is the bait, but there's tragedy behind that. Tragedy for the Hapen Consortium, basically. Anakin and Jason are sent to Corellia to reactivate Centerpoint Station. The officials of Corellia want to use Centerpoint to create a big, huge interdicting kind of field for the system to trap the Vong in one place where they can't travel through light speed, and they're basically stuck. And if you read the Corellian trilogy, you would understand what that means or what's going on, because they already did that. They already successfully created an interdictive field around their system. And they want to try it again to trap the Vong. And It goes differently. I'm not going to give any spoilers beyond that. But it goes differently. But again, like I said, this is the state of the New Republic right now because you have the leadership that's not fully supporting the military. You know, when Leia finally talks to them and talks some common sense into them in a way, and I think it was with the help of her brother too. I have to go back on that one. Could be wrong. The New Republic officials were like, okay, we support the military on their tactics, where they need to be and stuff, but we can change that at any time. And they do. Now, I'm not giving spoilers on when and where and how and why, or not why. Their why is very clear. We talked about the why in a bit short, but this is the state. This is the state of where they're at. If they weren't so laxed in this invasion, do you guys think that they would have, like, some of these planets wouldn't have fallen? Do you think it would be slightly different? Now, Leia goes to the Hapes Consortium to seek help. She's an ambassador. She's not even an official. This also shares the state of the New Republic. Because she's not an official. She's an ambassador. But she's taken upon herself as a leader, as someone who's formed this government. And she's using her experience when she was in the rebellion to bring in other military factions against this big threat. For the sake of the New Republic, even though she's not an official, even though she's not officially designated to do this, really, in a sense. Because she wants to rescue as many lives as possible. And during this time frame, she is before she goes to the Hapes Consortium, she is like taxing refugees. And some planets already are denying refugees, either because of the trade routes, and it all has to do with money. Money is greed, right? And how they would look if they brought in refugees according to the money they would pull in from different trades. Not even thinking about the state of the galaxy, only the state of their economy. Isn't that fucking crazy? It's like getting on a bus and saying, you can't see it here, you know, because you're not worthy, because you lost your planet to invasion, but they're so worried about their economy that you are a lowlife to them and not worth their time because you won't make them money. That's the state of the New Republic. And then, you know, of course, Leia gets moved on. And so the next planet she goes to, they're like, we're already taxed with refugees that we had to send some away to a different planet. But there's no solution and no help by the New Republic. Of course, every planet, every system can have their own little governing freedom, I guess you could say, liberties. Just like America with the states, I guess you could say, if you want to throw that example out there. But still, these planets are aligned with the New Republic, yet the New Republic's not coming in to find some resolutions for this. Very, very interesting. So those who like to talk politics and look at politics, no matter if it's real world or within the franchises you love, this is one to really dissect. It's very interesting. And I think it's really well written for the state the galaxy is in right now and the state of the New Republic government. And this doesn't share. Let me go ahead and see the next, because I didn't I should have put the next one up of the planets that have fallen. So by balance point, and by this time of Jedi eclipse, Jindine has already fallen. Let me see here. Now Hutta's getting ready to fall. So there's another thing. The Hutts are trying to keep Now Hutta and their territories from invasion. And they do play the Vong, but in the end, they get played. That's all I'm going to say. So that's a glimpse into that. And then Ylesia, which you learn about in the Han Solo trilogy, which is the sister or the, I could say sister planet to Now Hutta. Duro falls. Rhodia falls. And let's see here. I think I've read all of them so far. All right. So the New Republic, not in a very good state. Very passive against, I wouldn't even say, yeah, they're very passive. They're very relaxed. They're not taking it as serious as they should. And you'll see more as we go on. You'll see more of the greed coming into play. And as I shared with that video is a glimpse of that greed when Wedge is talking about forming a resistance because their government leadership is failing them significantly. And they do fall. By star, they fall. A lot of shit goes down in that novel. That novel by Troy Denning, excuse me, is the biggest novel out of all the novels that have been written. You have the death of Anakin. You have, death of some other Jedi too. So not trying to ignore that. Jason is captured. Leia is gone. Not Leia. Jaina that gets enveloped in grief that she almost turns to the dark side. There's a lot of shit going on. Coruscant falls. There's a lot going on. A lot. So we're slowly making our way through the timeline. Again, we're not book focused, but they just help us land on time and events during that timeline. All right. So anything else you guys want to add to that? I know that Star Wars Pierce says, oh, yeah, I think that's in regards to the Vormskers, what's going on in Star by Star and what's revealed and used against the Jedi. And you also have the Peace Brigade that's led by Thrak and Sal Solo. It's pretty sick. Yes, it is. It is fucking crazy. It's a great book. I think maybe Troy Denning's best. Yeah, I do like Inferno. That's my favorite. But I think this is like Star by Star is his best overall. But that's just me. Some of you guys might disagree with me. That's fine. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into Crit Tractor now. Ooh, so go ahead and refill your beverages. Grab a snack because this is where the fun begins. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up another.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second in command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
Did that freeze on me? Or did it stop altogether? That was weird. Holy crap, that was friggin' weird. All right, but here we go. Oh my god. Hopefully I'm not frozen or anything. Let's try this.
So uncivilized.
All right, that was friggin' weird. I don't know if you guys got the whole commercial or not, or even the cringe factor little bit of video here, but we are continuing on. Holy crap, that was fucking weird. That was weird. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. I don't see you guys saying anything. All right. And I don't have another screen up to see if the chat's moving on the YouTube side and if it's just a StreamYard's freeze. Because you know me, when it comes to sometimes with the chat, the cringe factor. The cringe factor clip played. Thank you, George Lucas. Shadows of the Empire was my first taste of Star Wars. Never gets old. Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So uncivilized. Correct. All right. That was weird because I only seen part of the Shadows of the Empire or heard it, I guess you could say, as I was getting everything pulled up. And that happened. I don't know. So, all right, you guys. Ahsoka Season 2 will make Ezra Bridger the newest Luke Skywalker replacement. Now, this is Disney Star Wars. This is faux lore. But what do you think about this? Oh, shit. I don't want that. What's going on here? There we go. So what do you think about this? In general. You know, you remember that announcement from Lucasfilm, Kennedy, saying that they're going to move away from the Skywalkers? Maybe this is it. Maybe they feel that Ezra Bridger, or whatever his name is going to be the new Luke Skywalker, so they can move away. So they can move away from him. That because, you know, it doesn't have to be about a certain bloodline or family. That's what Disney shills are saying these days. And they've been saying it before that announcement, but now after that announcement had occurred, a lot of them say that it's not about bloodlines, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, I remember George did talk about Star Wars being about bloodline, about the Skywalker family. They are the foundation of the story. Yeah, you can have separate stories away from the family. That's fine. We've seen it. You have the Old Republic. You have the X-Wing series. Right? And you have standalone comic or novels with certain characters. So this is going to be probably the state of Star Wars for Disney faux lore, basically. That's what I call it. Disney Star Wars is a name only. And those who deny that, sure, be in the state of denial. It's not real Star Wars anymore, not after George Lucas sold it. Because his vision is not even being played out. And they even, you know, George thought that his vision would still be adhered. And, you know, he was told by Iger that, no, we don't have to follow your vision. We want to follow our own. Well, once you step away from that vision of the original creator, it ceases to be canon. It's totally something different. And it just has the name on it. That's all. It's not. It ceased to exist as its original form. Yuck, Space Aladdin. Yep, I agree. Yep, Luke got jaked. Ezra Bridger is trash. Doesn't need a lightsaber weapon like he's some sort of hippie or something. Yeah, like, and that kind of downplays, like they're trying to mock what George Lucas did with Yoda, right? Because everybody's like, well, Yoda doesn't need a lightsaber. So why did, George give him one in Attack of the Clone? Well, because he's not above all of that. He is a leader and he is a trainer. He's not above all that. If you're someone in leadership and training and you don't utilize what you train your students for, that is ignorance. And that is basically self-righteousness of looking at yourself as above the very things that you're training people for. So how can you be a leader when you consider yourself above above the things that you're training your followers or your faction for, I guess you could say. It's an insult to Aladdin since he was a better developed person and he was a Disney character. At this point, anyone can replace Luke Skywalker. Even Padme and Alana Solo would be better than that coward Luke. So Ezra has a low bar set for him. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into this article. I read through it, but some reactions is going to be according to what I've read and not. So genuine, I guess you could say. Star Wars has perfectly positioned Ezra Bridger, and the author is Kevin Erdman, one of the people that we've talked about before and stuff like that. Replacement for Luke Skywalker in Ahsoka season 2 and hopefully beyond. So he's all for nixing Luke as the initial hero and leader of post Return of the Jedi content. And we just got done talking about New Jedi Order. And yes, Luke is the leader. He's not a main player per se in a sense because there's so many other characters that have their role set in that timeline. But he is an influencer, I guess you can say. Having first debuted as the lead character in the animated series Rebels, Ezra Bridger, and of course, Rebels is Filoni's character. So of course, we've seen, him using his character to ace out George Lucas' character. So just keep that in mind. Ezra Bridger learned the way of the Force during the Empire's rule, becoming a Jedi while also helping the early Rebel Alliance. So basically, his story that Luke had was given to him during the dark times. Although he was exiled for close to 10 years and missed the entire galactic civil war. Of course, it's convenient that he did because, him becoming a Jedi before Luke kind of breaks continuity. If you really think about it, not kind of break continuity. Just like Ahsoka does. And she was kind of missing during the main parts of the Galactic Civil War. Isn't that interesting? Very convenient, right? Very convenient of you, Filoni. Ezra's return to the known galaxy means he can become a much-needed Jedi hero during the New Republic era. Much-needed Jedi hero because Luke in Disney Star Wars is a failure because they don't want any Skywalker to be in that role anymore. Fuck Luke and his development after Return of the Jedi. Because, by the time you get to the Disney trilogy, he's got to have reasons for falling as a coward, bad-mouthing the Jedi of the past, becoming estranged, giving up on the galaxy, on his family, his friends. So, you have to have that hero. So why not, Mr. Filoni, put your Ezra in there as the new Luke Skywalker, right? I would say this is strategically planned. If you go and pick up all the breadcrumbs, you could see it. It's strategically planned. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. The New Republic gets blown to smithereens in a few years. Where was that bozo when Luke was being a chicken? Right. I prefer Cal Kestis over Ezra. It doesn't matter though. His existence too during this time frame breaks continuity. But we're talking about Ezra right now. You can't be against Ezra but not be against Cal if you're going to talk about like continuity and stuff. Okay. As revealed in the 2023 Ahsoka, Ezra was still alive on extragalactic world of Peridea, or however you spell or pronounce that, along the Empire's Grand Admiral Thrawn, connecting to the finale of Star Wars Rebels, where they both disappeared, played by Eamon Esfandi in his live action debut. The Jedi Knight has since made it back to the known galaxy with help of Ahsoka and Sabine. Though Vaughn has returned as well, with that in mind, Ezra will likely become the perfect Luke Skywalker replacement in Ahsoka Season 2. Why does Luke need to be replaced? That's the question. Why does Luke Skywalker need to be replaced? Can you guys answer that in the chat? Why does Luke Skywalker need to be replaced? Sabine is going to be another overpowered Rey. Will probably be a Jedi Master of the new Jedi Order. Oops, wrong one. Ezra Bridger is the galaxy's only hope after Thrawn's return. Wow. Okay, so you know, in the Thrawn trilogy, Luke was the main Jedi, right? He still hasn't formed his his order yet, his Praxium yet. And he's contemplating himself as the leader of the Jedi, training, anticipating the birth of his niece and nephew. So he has all this in his mind during the time when Thrawn invaded, I guess you could say, came into light, and was wanting to pick up where the Emperor left off. But yet Luke never gave up on the galaxy. Even though he had like doubts and questions on how he's going to train new potential Jedi, his niece and his nephew and all that, he never gave up on the galaxy. He stood steadfast with not only his brother-in-law, his sister-in-law, but with the New Republic on this new threat. And of course, you know, met new foes and allies along the way. So why does Luke need to be replaced? Why do they need a brand new character to take Luke's place when in the EU, Luke was significant still, but didn't overshadow any other character that was brought in? In fact, the writing was so well done that there was no talk of Luke needing to be replaced with someone, because these characters enhance the experience, enhance the storyline, and their arc was significant to the events that were going on throughout the, you know, the New Republic timeline. And there was times where Luke was hardly in the story, but it wasn't because he needed to be replaced. So are these creators so inept that they can't even find a way to make another character be significant without tearing down a main character, a beloved hero who should have his character arc being unfold during this time frame. Because when you see Luke in the movies, we're seeing the growth, the significant growth. But when you see him in the EU, we see everything from the movies unfold. His character arc expanded a lot more. What he's doing with himself per his training, per his promises, all of this. So why does a Luke need to be replaced? Let me see what you guys have to say. Grand Admiral Elon Musk. All right. Flatline. Oh my God. I have 54 beautiful souls watching here on YouTube and also on X. Thank you so much. Fat Elon Thrawn. All right, let's continue on. No one knows how to fight Thrawn better. This is okay. So, I'm like busy just, talking lore, breaking it down for Luke and stuff and asking this question. So this dolt that wrote this article thinks that no one knows how to fight Thrawn better. Okay, so tell me, how does Ezra Bridger know how to fight Thrawn better when he really didn't do shit? If he knew how to fight Thrawn, why didn't he defeat him? Why didn't he raise his own little army on that planet and defeat him in the time frame of his exile? How long was he exiled for? Like maybe 5 or 6 years or something like that. I could be wrong. I don't have the time frame in front of me from when he was whipped away with the sea whales and with Thrawn in the sea whales and when he showed up again. So I'm guessing that was probably like 2 BBY. So 2 years before the Battle of Yavin. And this time frame is about 9 ABY, 9, 10, 11. So 11 years. So if he knows how to fight Thrawn, what the fuck was he doing all that fucking time against Thrawn? Because when you watch the show, when you get to the part of him and his discovery of where he's at and where Thrawn is at, there's no evidence on him knowing how to fight Thrawn. He knows how to fucking hide from him, but not fight him. Okay, let's see what he has to say. Out of any hero alive during the period of Star Wars timeline, well, Disney Fey'lya lore timeline, Ezra Bridger is certainly best suited to take on the Grand Admiral Thrawn now that they have both returned during the New Republic era. During dark times before A New Hope, Ezra and his fellow Spectres alongside Phoenix Squadron were the primary targets of Thrawn's seventh fleet. Okay, so he's going back to when they fought him during that time, but still, he doesn't know how to fight him. That's not proof that he knows. They're still struggling against him. And that would also say then those people who survived during that timeline, like that Syndulla girl, and Ahsoka knows how to fight him too. Was tasked with rooting out pockets of the rebellion in the name of the Empire, such as Ezra witnessed how Thrawn operates and his various strategies firsthand. That being said, And see, look at that. So if he witnessed Thrawn's strategies and stuff, once he got quote unquote exiled, that's not necessarily an exile, really. Then he could have used that against him on that planet and weakened him, fought against him, but instead if he hid from him. That's the point I'm making. If he knew how to fight against Thrawn, why didn't he apply those tactics during that time? That being said, the Spectress Harrison Dula is now a general with the New Republic Defense, blah, 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 blah. So whatever, we're not going to read that. Ahsoka would later reveal that Ezra and Thrawn ended up in the extragalactic world of Perida. Okay, we'll skip all that. He'll want to rescue his friend despite his greater responsibilities. So now they're trying to do a Empire Strikes Back callback arc that Luke had, and they're gonna give it to Ezra. This is what's being speculated. You guys are talking all about Thrawn as Elon. That's hilarious. You guys are so funny. All right. He'll want to rescue his friends despite his greater responsibility. Ahsoka and Sabine are still trapped on Perida. Just like Luke Skywalker, who deeply cared about his friends and allies, Ezra will most likely want to try and rescue Ahsoka and Sabine, who are left on that planet at the end of season 1 of Ahsoka, after helping Bridger sneak aboard Thrawn's ship right before it jumped into hyperspace to return to known Star Wars galaxy. With their role having been reversed, he will undoubtedly be torn between helping Hera take on Thrawn and wanting to save his fellow Jedi, Ahsoka, and season. You know what? Ahsoka's not a fucking Jedi. She's not a Jedi, and neither is her little bitch friend. And do you see? They're giving him the Empire Strikes Back Luke lesson. You know, and we talked about mythology on like different, on like the lesson of like Yoda. And then now we're going to go into with this, the mythology of the lesson Luke gets during Empire Strikes Back when he, flies off to go help his friends. So they're going to try to give that to Ezra because, there's no creativity within any of the cells of these creators. They got to go, oh, it's like poetry. It rhymes kind of bullshit. No. Part of the reason why something rhymes is because it's, with the father and the son relationship on them, mirroring each other, even though the scenes might be slightly different. But not in this case. Not in this case. Where is Soul Assassin? I don't see him. He's been pretty quiet here. Creative bankruptcy. Yep, Sabine has not earned anything. Ahsoka learned nothing. And she's gave up on the Jedi way. And becoming a Jedi. And so they talk about that, what I'm talking about, like the Empire Strikes Back thing. So Ezra and Luke could and should work together. Oh, well, let's replace Luke, but now he should work with Luke, but he'll be greater than Luke. He will be the Luke, and Luke will just be this white, crazy ass wannabe hero, because of diversity. But, that's what Lucasfilm has and other franchises have been doing for a long time. So you can kind of say that maybe this is like the reface of Luke because he's a white hero. Think about that. That's the history of what these franchises have been doing. So I wouldn't put it past them to do that with this. At any rate, it would be very cool if Ezra Bridger and Luke Skywalker finally met in the Star Wars timeline. And do you imagine all the shieldgasms that will happen? That all the material that Grizzy will have for his show? That what Gatekeepers Alliance will have for our shows? And stay tuned for a parody of me, of EU elitist versus anti-EU narrative person. So that's I can't wait for it to show or to be aired on the Gatekeepers Alliance YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe to that. Now, going back to the topic here. After all, they were both born at the dawn of the Empire. See how this is playing out? Only a couple of days apart. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh my God. Oh, fucking shit. And they each had key roles in fighting for the galaxy's freedom as Jedi Knights. See how Filoni's trying to insert his own to replace what George made, when in fact that shouldn't be happening according to the lore of the movies? How it contradicts that. At the end, one would think that Luke should be one of the first people Ezra seeks out once he's caught up to speed on the state of the galaxy. And all of that happens while he is in exile. As established in the book of Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker is building his Jedi Academy on Ossus. As such, you know what? They said it was... They were saying, and I don't remember if that was Ossus in The Last Jedi, but they were saying that his Praxium that was revealed in the book of Boba Fett, or his academy, is the same as the one in the Last Jedi. As such, a meeting between the two Jedi should have been that hard to make happen. With any luck, Ezra will hopefully get the chance to work with Luke at some point during the New Republic era, if only torch to be symbolically passed on between two Star Wars heroes. Because you can't have Luke as the hero of the timeline. It's got to be somebody else. OG Shield Wars. There you go. Let's see here. I'm scrolling up. Rip off a main villain from the EU, check. Make villains resemble a real-world political figure, check. Filoni a hack writer, check. Yep. Trump's task forgot him. And let's see, still here. Worse. Task Force. Okay. Space Disney and everything to do with them. Ugh. The birth of Jake Skywalker begins. It's already happened under Disney folklore. And so I don't understand why people are like, oh, it's Star Wars is Star Wars. It's all the same. It's all Star Wars. Bull fucking shit. Filoni wants to be Lucas and will slowly swap his characters for his own, correct? And we're witnessing that right now. OG Shield Wars. Is Ezra a Freeman from Dune? I don't know much Dune history, but you know what? People have been comparing Star Wars with Dune and whatever, and I've countered some of the facts from research and stuff, so you might be onto something. I don't know. Filoni is like Star Wars theory. I want to make content better than the actual Star Wars. Keep fucking dreaming. I agree. Subscribe to Gatekeepers Alliance. Some great stuff coming out. Whatever happens then, it's on them and his crew. Luke is too busy bad touching aliens' assets. Wow. Well, you know, we did talk about how Luke looked like he was holding and stuff that wannabe bastard baby Yoda in that cover. This last CAF chat. So who knows? Who knows? So what do you guys think? Do you think this is further evidence on how Disney is going and handling the Skywalker legacy? This is proof that they are very anti-Skywalker. And Filoni is right in the mix with that. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not fucking sorry. I am not sorry. I'm showing bits of evidence here on what's going to happen, what will happen, what will more than likely happen, right? Because we've been seeing that with Ahsoka. We've been seeing that like with with other characters, and even the company saying that they're going to move away from the Skywalkers. In order to do that, they need to replace them, right? And who will jump to that in a heartbeat? Filoni. But this is Disney faux lore. This is Disney Star Wars. And as much as we can get pissed off about it or point out the obvious and share points about it, tear their shit apart, it's not real Star Wars. Yes, they are bastardizing what George created. And yes, we could talk about it. Yes, we can point that shit out because they're dismantling a beloved franchise and creating a revisionist type history. So in generations like next generation, they will view Star Wars completely different than how my generation, and we're just talking in general generations, not that Star Wars is based upon generations and how each generation should view, but it will be completely different. The core foundation, the heart of Star Wars will be gone. And Filoni is contributing to that. As much as people want to defend him and say that he's got George in his best interest, no, he fucking doesn't. He does not. So I'm going to keep an eye on Ahsoka 2 for this very reason. I'm keeping an eye on all of Star Wars for that very reason, because the more they develop things, the more it shows that they're dismantling George's vision. Okay, Soul Assassin, I'll go check it right now. This should be fun. This is where the fun begins. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to pull this up. We're going to end with this. Something funny. We're going to end it with something funny. Let me pull up the website, my stuff here. All right, so this is going to be something funny. I'm going to go ahead and close just for the sake of not having too much going on. Come on. Retry. Thank you. Of course, it doesn't want me to bring it up. It's like the internet, like the connection to Twitter is being so fucking slow. I bet Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka are in Rey's Jedi Council. That time will only tell for that. Time will only tell for that. All right. Let me go ahead and pull this up. I finally got it all arranged. You know, I didn't even check my email to see if anybody bought tickets. I can always announce that here pretty soon. Let's see here. So here we go. So this is new. The former Star Wars Galactic Starship building is being converted to an office space for Walt Disney's Imagineering teams working on various projects at Walt Disney World. So there you go. So it's still being used. It probably ended up being a tax write-off for them, so no money lost, really. And it is being turned into an office space, a creative office space for the Imagineering team. So, wah. You know. But is this a win? It's a quote-unquote win for us. Not really. You know, we have pointed out on the spacing that this wasn't really a loss for them. It ended up being a write-off for them. And I remember like Greg and us talking about how this will probably be refurbished into something for the company, something else for the company. And of course could be write-off and so on and so forth. So it's not really a loss or a win. And that's not really a loss for them or a win for us, I guess you could say, if you want to put it in those terms, as many people coin. Let's see here. We called it from the beginning. Correct. We called it from the beginning. It's not really a loss for them. And the building was going to be refurbished. And we talked about that. It's an embarrassment. Correct. It is an embarrassment. But not really a financial loss. Correct, Melissa Lord. Correct. So I don't understand how many people thought that this was, a win for us because that Galactic Star Cruiser hotel lost the money and it's an embarrassment to them, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, it could be embarrassment to them, but hey, financially sound and financially minded people turned it around. And that happens in business. It's their business. The original purpose didn't work. Fine. But we can utilize it for something different. A write-off. A fucking write-off right there. So those who thought this was a win, they're losing. They're losing money. They're doing this, blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. It's not. It's not a win. It was never a win for us on this side of the culture war, I guess you could say. And it was never really a loss for them either. So there you go. All right, now you can be a part of the Imagineer Star Cruise and pretend you work for Disney. Boom, boom, boom. Right? Right, they lost face but not money. And they still have money being pulled in from that building, but in a different way. So there you go, you guys. We are coming up now to the end of CAF Chat. It was great hanging out with you guys. I adore our time together every Thursday morning, talking Star Wars lore, nerding out about it, seeing it for different point of views and all that. It's amazing to have this time with you guys. But as always, time has to come to an end. We must get on with our personal lives, and that's just how it goes. We end to begin again. That's what I tell my yoga students. There's always an ending to a beginning to an end. There's little tiny phases in life. We have to go and live our life experiences, real world work, play, friends, And so thank you guys again for joining me. And catch me tonight on Casual Rage, episode 200 celebration. So we'll see I didn't exactly see what the topics are. So if you haven't subscribed to Raging Rhino, go check it out. Subscribe and see you there about 6:30-ish, I believe, Pacific Standard Time, my time. No matter where you're at, it'll show your correct time on the reminder. So check it out. Set the reminders. Come join us, hang out, have some fun. I look forward to that. It's been a while since I've been on his channel. And so it's always a great time. And it's always fun to go back and visit him on his channel during his lives and stuff in person on the panel. So see you guys there. And of course, the spacing. I don't know if I will be on the spacing. I haven't been said or told any difference right now, but if I am on the panel Friday, then see you there. If not, I'll see you in chat. Who knows what's going on with that, but in all, support the Spacing United Spacer Alliance, another fellow Gatekeeper Alliance. And yeah, see what's to come. Friday night, about 8:05 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't had a chance, subscribe or become a member. Press that like button and share this out. Share with your family and friends. talking about the new Jedi Order and everything in between and all the cringe factor, all of that. Keeping it entertaining for you guys. So thank you guys again and have a good day.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
Another happy landing.